Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Sunday edition of the Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, and we're right here on Orion Talk Radio, oriontalkradio.com, which, by the way, is celebrating its one-year anniversary. 1 year of us people being out there trying to tell you the truth, and it's growing very nicely, and we want to thank all our listeners for that. Tonight, I have a guest. We have John Connor, who will be with us for the show tonight, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. So, John, say hello to the nice people out there.
Hey, how's it going, Ken? I'm a little distraught today.
Well,
a little speechless. Did you hear the big news? I couldn't help but notice in my Facebook feed that Oprah Winfrey posted, in the memory of loving Whitney Houston, the OWN network, the NWO backwards, will present a special 2-hour Remembering Whitney special.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get the DVD on that and probably have to DVR, TiVo it, tape it on the tape recorder. Oh, geez, I'm going to have to do all of that good stuff. Yeah, that really interests the heck out of me.
I'm running out of Kleenex here.
Oh, I'll tell you.
And the disturbing part is an hour after this was posted, there was like 10,000 likes and everybody in the world is all distraught over Whitney Houston.
You know, it's a shame that she's dead at 48. I'll give you that much. But if you look back at her life and the amount of drugs that she did and the rest of the stuff, it's the one thing that surprised me was the fact that it wasn't Demi Moore. She's going to be the next one on the oh my gosh she died list because she's wasting away to nothing. But I just can't. I don't know. I can't get over it, man. I'm surprised we could do the show tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that and the YouTube, breaking news on YouTube is the Grammys, so apparently are tonight, so I don't know. Everyone's probably crying over there, too.
What's her Grammy got to do with it? It's, like I say, it's a shame. It's a shame when anybody passes away when they're young, but my wife and I were talking about this, and it's amazing. These people have made more money in a year than most people will make in their lifetime, and they have everything to live for. And they got to go out and play with the drugs and the rest of the stuff. And then when they die, the rest of the very rich get together and go, oh, my God, she died. And then I can imagine her funeral is going to be a media event. Obama will probably go because it's a photo op.
Well, I mean, this is far more important than Congress approving 30,000 spy drones over America. And I'm sure some of them will be over Kanadistan as well.
Well, yeah, we've got to share with our northern brothers, you know.
Well, that's only the neighborly thing to do. You know, could we borrow a few spy drones? Do you need to spy on our citizens?
You know, you don't have as many citizens as we do, so we'll send you. How would 3,000 or 4,000 be?
Sure, that sounds great.
It'll work right out. We can fly right over there and check you out as soon as we get the rest of the technology figured out, so we can X-ray you at the same time that we fly over. Make sure you're not a terrorist.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. 30,000 spy drones. I don't know what type of spy drones they're getting. What type of equipment are they able to carry? I mean, what are the details of this? And how do they spend all this money in a time on this stuff when they say the economy is so bad and there's no money?
What I want to know is who's getting the money. It's not a matter that you're spending it. Who's getting it?
Right.
It always boils down to follow the money. You want to find a criminal, follow the money. But we'd be following so many criminals, it would be be impossible.
You'd have to clone yourself.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Natural News says Congress okays 30,000 flying drones spying on Americans across the U.S. cities. What I want to know is, are they going to be armed? You know, I understand, you know, having a drone flying at 20,000 feet, taking pictures will make me feel so safe. But will it have weapons? I mean, you know, what if it spots a terrorist? Will it blow the hell out of the neighborhood?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think of the Predator drones with the smart technology and the facial recognition. And then you look at everyone's getting these new smartphones with built-in facial recognition and voice print. So anyone that they mark in their database as a, enemy combatant or terrorist or whatever, without any trial or anything, well, could these drones then pick up on that? You may not even have one. Say I could be on the list and I'm within an earshot of one of these smartphones, and now that just told the drone my location, Or what about this OnStar thing, where they can control your vehicle and they can turn your vehicle off? Like, is that going to be connected to drones too?
Well, for tracking you, I mean, even this Progressive Insurance with their little plug-in tracking thing, people think, oh, hey, it's going to see that I'm a good driver and I'm going to get a discount rate. Does it have GPS capabilities in it? I mean, can one of these drones pick you up no matter where you're at? We are in an electronic concentration camp, and anybody that says differently is so asleep. They took sleeping pills and just swallowed the whole bottle. We are right now in a surveillance concentration camp, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. They've been using these drones. The article that I have from Natural News says spy drones have been used around the U.S. What's the problem with adding tens of thousands more? It's going to be a little crowded up there, but people don't understand that you're in a surveillance society, and you are being tracked and watched, and you're in a concentration camp. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, this is George Orwell on steroids.
Oh yeah, and we'll send it up north because we want to share with our northern brothers.
Yeah, it's worse up here in many aspects. Yeah.
Well, you got all those trees up there. We can't be having that. We'll have to send Monsanto up there to spray your trees with Agent Orange so they can defoliate it, and that way they can really get a good look at you guys up there.
Oh, they used to do that on the railroad tracks up here.
Really?
Yeah, and there's lots of so there's a big thing with some of the folks that were working doing that back when they were doing that have all kinds of health problems.
Oh, that I don't doubt. That Agent Orange is some wicked stuff. It's just
yeah, back during the Vietnam War, they were using that to defoliate along the railroad tracks in Kanadistan. So folks that were applying it have very bad health effects from that. And I think there's probably some lawsuits going on.
Well, it's funny that you brought that up somewhere in here. I don't know where, but I have got it. That the the government stopped veterans from suing Monsanto, and who in the heck was the other one that was involved in that? Dow Chemical. They literally stopped the veterans from going after them for the damages that they've done to them. They just said, well, they were government contractors, and therefore, White House, U.S. courts, and EPA shaft veterans to protect Monsanto. The American veterans and the entire country of Vietnam affected by Agent Orange have been shafted beyond imagination due to corruption within the U.S. government and U.S. courts. U.S. courts have protected Monsanto and Dow Chemical from liability of criminal prosecution, and the U.S. government has shielded Monsanto and Dow from the massive cost of medical treatment for victims and environmental remediation cleanup costs that would drive these corporations into bankruptcy. I say let them go into bankruptcy because I'm still fighting with the VA to get my benefits from that wonderful stuff that they used. And I can imagine, the balance of the article says that, it seeped into the ground up there. And now they've got people even today in Vietnam that are getting sick from this stuff. So I imagine you're going to have you've got the same thing up there in Canada.
Yeah, definitely.
You've tuned into the Information Nation. I'm your host, Ken, and with me today is John Connor. And we were talking during the break about this thing about the U.S. courts shafting the veterans. And John brought up another very interesting article that he was reading. He shared it with me, and I think you'd be real interesting to find out what you're going to be eating soon. So, John, take it away.
Yeah, apparently this is from Dr. Mercola at Infowars.com. Hidden Agent Orange chemical they want to sneak into your food. And I was reading over the article, and basically what it looks like is has a major Agent Orange ingredient, herbicide called, I don't even think I can pronounce this, dichlorophenox. No, I can't pronounce it. Some type of acid. It's an herbicide. It's made the major ingredient in Agent Orange, and it looks like they're trying to make these new GM crops Agent Orange resistant. So, what does that mean? Do they plan to plant these crops, and then if somebody, and then firebomb all the organic crops with Agent Orange? I mean, I don't understand.
I think what they're going to end up doing. It said something in the article about mixing it. They've made the crops resistant to it, so they could use it right on the farmland, and you could be digesting this because they're using it on their crops to kill bugs or weeds or whatever, and then the crops absorb it, they grow, and the people eat it.
Yeah.
So, and plus the other fact is too, if that stuff drifts across over to the other guy's piece of property that's not using Monsanto or Dow Chemicals, genetically modified crops, it'll kill them.
Well, of course, if they're engineering crops to be Agent Orange resistant, that leads you to believe they're going to use Agent Orange as the pesticide, and that means you're going to ingest the crops that are grown in there.
Yeah,
Just
one more good thing from our people at Monsanto.
Monsanto. I like to call them Monsanto myself.
Monsanto. It's amazing. They don't think about the health effects of the people. They do so much garbage, and they keep on telling the people, "Oh, it's good for you. Don't worry about it. It'll take care of you. It'll help with crop production." Crops don't need any help. If you rotate your crops, you don't have a problem with growing crops. It's just the fact that a lot of the farmers these big corporations have just got lazy. They just want to keep planting the same stuff over and over and over and over again. They don't want to do crop rotation. So without having to do that, they need something different to plant. So they plant genetically modified food.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as time goes on, people start eating it, and they don't think much about it. I mean, look at the difference between a tomato that's grown in your garden and one that you buy at the store. When I was a kid, and we'd take a tomato out of the garden and you cut it, and all the juice runs all over the place. It was great, a lot of flavor. You buy one today, it's like buying a candy bar. You cut it, no juice in it. The seeds are, it's nowhere near what a tomato used to be.
I find they have like a weird texture, the store-bought ones.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this weird rubbery texture, and I can't. I cut one open, and I'm like, this doesn't even. What is this? A rubber tomato?
Yeah.
And because I grow food for the small window of opportunity I can, because it's so cold up here.
Yeah.
I do grow food, and the tomatoes I grow are way better.
Oh yeah, you've got the flavor, the texture. The other nice thing about it too is you can take them when they're green and put them in a window, and they'll ripen right there in the window.
Yeah.
But once they ripen, you'd better eat them because they will go bad in a relatively short amount of time. Where these one that you're getting from the store, I mean, geez, you could hold them, you could buy them at the store today and eat them in December this year. They're still good.
Yeah, they take a long time, and it's just I notice that a lot with the breads. A lot of the mainline breads don't seem to go moldy.
Yeah, it used to be you'd have to watch the bread because a couple of days out, and all of a sudden you got penicillin all over the place. And here they don't go bad as fast as they used to.
No,
it's strange what they're doing to the people, and the stupid part about it is you're killing your own market. Who's going to buy your crap?
Yeah, I heard one of the big bread companies went under or was going under, and recently switched and basically advertised that they were using all natural, no preservatives in their bread, and they were one of the big guys, the staple guys.
Oh, cry! I know who it was.
And I think they went under. I think it was because I noticed I was over at a friend's place and I saw this big name brand bread. I don't want to, advertise for them, but they it was all moldy. And I said, that bread doesn't go moldy. And they said, and I look at the side and I'm like, oh, maybe they're changing their ingredients. And then I heard they went under.
Yeah, that was Wonder Bread.
Yeah, I think, it was Wonder Bread.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I thought it was one of them. I couldn't remember what bread it was.
Because we used to have a store right here in town, and they closed that about a year ago. And now they just, last understanding was they went bankrupt. They went belly up. So get rid of the natural food and, hey, just think of it this way. You can always go to the store and buy a plastic container and eat that. It'll at least fill your belly up. Oh, I'm getting sick here. Terrible. I am a terrible individual for even suggesting that our government would do something like that. Next thing you know is they're going to turn around and call me a terrorist. As long as I don't throw a Frisbee, though. I don't know if you saw this one in Los Angeles County. They okayed a $1,000 fine for throwing a football or a Frisbee on the beach.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. People go to the beach to have fun, and now you can't have any type of fun down there except if you want to bounce a beach ball around. Who cares? But a lot of guys, their beaches are pretty wide open. And, the Board of Supervisors this week agreed to raise fines up to $1,000 for anyone who throws a football or a Frisbee on any beach in Los Angeles County.
Yeah, they had a school here ban balls. Tennis balls, soccer balls, footballs, any type of ball.
It's an all-girls school, then.
Yeah, it might as well be.
That's what I don't understand with what's going on in the world today. Everybody has to stick their nose in everybody else's business. They just won't leave people alone to do their thing, enjoy their life. They've got to, you can't do that. Then it's like I said, it's the people that when you were going to school, they always say, I'm going to tell. Those are the ones that are giving you the problems now. The problem is they are in charge. So.
Well, that's what it seems to be like this game. And it's like, hey, you're going to, if we got to, stop these people. They're banning our balls. We got to grow some balls and tell them, no, you're not banning our balls or our Frisbees or our,
Yeah. I mean, how stupid can this stuff get? I mean, it can get very stupid. Next thing they'll tell you is you won't be able to have a dog or a cat or.
The reasoning was always for safety reasons. Somebody could get hurt. Somebody could get hit with the ball or the Frisbee or, that's the reasons they're giving here for this instance. And it's like it's a tennis ball. It's a football. How dangerous could it be?
You could put an eye out with that thing. When I was a kid, and it's going back a long time, we used to play, what do you call it, cowboys and Indians, with BB guns. And we are back. This is Ken for the Information Nation on Orion Talk Radio, OrionTalkRadio.com, theinformationnation.com. And my guest tonight is John Connor. And we've been talking about genetically modified stuff. All sorts of genetically modified stuff, including genetically modified mosquitoes. Where'd you find that one, John?
Oh, genetically modified mosquitoes from Natural News by Ethan A. Huff wrote an article about the Florida Keys Mosquito Control District is seeking federal and state approval to release hundreds of thousands of GM mosquitoes designed to kill, I guess, the natural variety of mosquitoes that fly throughout the Key West. So it looks like basically I read through the article and it looks like in layman's terms that they're engineering these mosquitoes to interbreed with the natural ones and they have some gene in them that's supposed to kill them off. And I mean, the question is like, do we really want to be messing with these mosquitoes?
Oh, I don't know. You get a mosquito that looks about the size of mosquitoes the size of blackbirds or even sparrows. They fly, 3 or 4 of them fly around, pick up your kid, take them away. They can drop them off on a beach, and instead of playing Frisbee with them, they can just eat them.
Yeah.
They are so far out in the middle of Never Land, screwing with stuff that was never meant to be screwed with. And they're destroying this country. It surprises me the environmentalists aren't up in arms about this, but then again, they're whacked out anyhow.
Yeah, many of them seem to be. Although the past week, I did hear a couple articles that some of them were waking up to this UN Agenda 21 and how they've been co-opted. So that was the only positive thing I see that was coming out of some of these mainline. Because I heard the UN complaining about it. That's where I ran across that. So it just means that we're doing our job. Yeah,
at least the word is getting out there. You've got you do a podcast too, don't you? I heard your podcast the other day. I can't because I went to. You've got a website which is John Connor 1984, and then who else? There was 3 of you on there doing a podcast about the new fart phone.
Oh, the fart meters.
Fart meters, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had we've got carbon taxes on cows. And I guess you could say it's on the cow farts. I mean, you know, I don't know. They I guess cows are unsustainable or something. So we got to carbon tax them. And so we're joking how, they're going to have to put fart meters on the cows. And, next thing you know, if they start with the cows and they condition us, to accept that fart meters on cows are a good thing. And next thing you know, we've got fart meters and then you'll have people running around with the new iFart app on their phone. On their new fart phone, they'll get rid of the whole smartphone and they'll have the fart phone with the iFart app, and it'll meter, every time they fart, it'll be carbon tax. And I mean, what's funny is we were joking around about it, but there is an element of truth to it. Is there is carbon taxes on beef here, and I mean that's the thing. What's next? Sheep. What's next? Pigs and chicken.
Well, I mentioned to you on WTF, maybe we ought to come up with a catalytic converter for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to have to design all kinds of different ones. You're going to have ones for chickens, different sizes.
Well, that's okay, because then we'll have plenty of repeat business and keep the company going. We could get government funding.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting sick here.
But I mean, that's how it's worse in Canadistan in many ways. Like, we've already got a carbon tax on cows. I mean, how does that have any effect on the environment? Whether or not the elite tax us more on beef.
Yeah, what I find is amazing was the only ones seeming to stand up to this are the Chinese. Because they just told the European Union there's no way that they forbid their airlines from paying any carbon taxes to the European Union. And I don't know if Great Britain joined in on that or what, but I know the Chinese just told the European Union, stuff it, we're not going to pay your carbon taxes for their airlines. So at least the Chinese are, maybe we're going all the way to China and we're waking those people up.
Well, it's interesting because I live in Toronto, and it's very, I would say, multicultural. You go out and walk around the street, and you can't pick out a majority of any culture. It's Asian, it's blacks, it's whites, it's Middle Eastern. And people speak all kinds of languages. And one thing I noticed through activism is the Asian community, especially the Chinese, seem a lot more freedom-minded and libertarian type-minded. Here in Toronto, I can't say for the whole country, which I found surprising. Like we'd go down to the Occupy and try to info jam them and get information out and show them, hey, George Soros and the UN is setting most of this stuff up. And I noticed a lot of Asian people down there. A lot of them were Chinese, some of them weren't, but they were awake to what was going on. And we're the type of activists that anyone who's awake and willing to stand up to what's going on, hey, welcome aboard,
Yeah. Well, it's funny, but it seems like every culture that starts to migrate to another country. I know when I was a kid growing up, my grandparents came from Germany, and we used to sit around and they'd have a lot of friends over and that, and the number one topic was always politics, was always about politics, because they knew that they had to watch out for their freedoms because they had lost so much in the old country. And then they come here and freedom is just like, wow, it's everywhere. So then they would talk about it and they would discuss it. And, why didn't we do this in the old country? And I think that's true of any culture that goes to another country. They're amazed at how free they really are, what freedom, they get a taste of freedom. And that's why I think a lot of countries don't want them back, too.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But yeah.
The only problem that we have now is everybody from the United States figured when things got bad, we'd run up to Canada. And, geez, now you guys are just as bad, if not worse, than we are.
Well, I heard about, what was it, the smoking ban. I think it was Jimmy X from last Sunday, his broadcast. He was talking about smoking bans and banning smoking at work, and it's already happened here. You can't smoke within, I think, 50 feet or something of a public door. You can't smoke in public park here. Cigarettes. You can't. They're ticketing, pulling over people and ticketing them in commercial vehicles if they're smoking cigarettes in them.
We've got here, there was an article that I read about a week or so ago. There are actually companies here that if you smoke, period, even if you smoke at home, they will not hire you. And if they find out and you're hired, they'll fire you. That's how bad it's gotten. These people just won't stay out of our face.
Yeah, it's gotten so bad that it's so ridiculous. And what's funny is, I mean, even with the stupid bylaw, you can't smoke in a park. You walk anywhere around in Toronto, there's a 50% chance all you're going to smell is pot, because most of Canada smokes pot.
All right, contact high.
Openly in the cities, in the big city, they openly smoke it in the streets. So you're going to tell them you can't smoke cigarettes in the park. I mean, good luck enforcing that.
Well, they want everybody to get a contact high, and then when you're all stoned, they're going to really shut you down.
Yeah.
I don't know. These politicians, the funny part about it is they don't understand that, well, especially in this country, they don't understand that they represent the people. They think that they are the rulers of the people. And, a lot of people are disenchanted with the Constitution, the way it's written. And it's strange because people in this country, it's funny, you talk to a foreigner who's gone through any type of Americanization class where he's going to become a naturalized citizen, and they'll know more about the Constitution and this government than our own people. And we've returned. See, I told you we'd be back. We wouldn't let you hang out there. This is Ken for the Information Nation on Orion Talk Radio, OrionTalkRadio.com, theinformationnation.com. Hey, just want to remind you people, we've got some T-shirts left, so jump on there, buy a T-shirt. Confuse your friends. Why wear something from some Hollywood star when you can wear a T-shirt from the fastest growing radio station in the country? That's what you want to do. Advertise to your friends. Tell them, hey, check it out. I'm here with John Connor, and we were talking about freedom as far as constitutions and the laws. We have a constitution in this country. This, I'll be polite. This journalist from the New York Times wrote an article that says, "We the people loses appeal with people around the world." It's a funny thing. Everybody sits back and they go, well, the Constitution guarantees rights. The Constitution does not guarantee your rights. I want to make that clear right off the bat. The Constitution limits the government. The Constitution basically tells your representatives, you can do this, you can't do that. You can do this, you can't do that. It doesn't guarantee you, that you can go to the beach. But it does tell, a good example is the First Amendment. They will not infringe on religious liberties and freedom of speech. That tells them they're not supposed to do it. The First Amendment starts with Congress shall not. So it's telling Congress, you cannot interfere with this. But all of these people are turning against our Constitution. But in Canada, they have the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And, John, you said they never passed this.
Yeah, many folks always hold that up, and I think it's a great document, but if you look into it, it was never actually ratified. And the year that this happened was Pierre Trudeau, who is, very highly respected by many people. And if you look at what else was happening back when we supposedly got all this, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Canadian Constitution, all this stuff, in 1974, it was the same year that we lost the use of our national bank. We stopped using that for our money and started borrowing money from private banks and shuffling the debt over to private banks, paying compound interest to private banks rather than just paying normal interest to a bank that the country owned, like it says for us to do in our laws. So that was when our monetary system up here started going downhill. When we gave up our issuance of currency over to private banks. And that was the same year that we supposedly got this Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it was never ratified. But we do still fall under common law, which still, natural law, the law of the land.
Yeah.
So that's what I would encourage Canadians to look into.
What I found extremely interesting in this, they have on there the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law. So basically, what they're telling you is, here it says, everyone has the following fundamental freedoms: freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, option, or opinion, and expressed, including freedom of the press and other media communications, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. But the problem is, this comes from the government. It's not just your natural right. They're saying here that at any time they can pass a law and take these away from you.
Yeah, that is basically, Canada is set up like a big brother knows best, and they grant you all these privileges. And it's been like that for quite a long time. But that's why I tell a lot of activists that are holding up the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, I said, hey, that was never ratified. But check out common law, because it doesn't mean that we don't have rights. Of course we have rights. It's just this seems to be some type of ruse, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. If it was never ratified, then it's some type of ruse. And if I go back in history, the year that it was passed, the same year we stopped using the Bank of Canada, which is the problem with our monetary system in Canada, is we're not using our national bank like it says to do in our law to print our money.
So basically what you did was your politicians got together and looked how screwed up America was and said, we want that same system here. Because that's what happened to us in 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created. We gave up all our rights to printing money and we went to a private concern, which is the Federal Reserve. There's nothing federal about it. They just control our money. So you've got the same thing up in Canada now.
Yes, we do. And we've taken a $20 billion debt and turned it into a $500 billion debt, all on compound interest. And we put all that debt off to private banks rather than just paying the $20 billion back to ourselves because we own the Bank of Canada.
Well.
But, hey, why do that when we can just get robbed by a bunch of monopoly men?
Well, we could always send you Obama if you really want to find out what debt is like. I mean, Obama talks into trillions, billions. We don't even mess with billions. That's old hat. We go into trillions and tens of trillions now.
Right. But it's still relatively, in terms of percentage-wise, we're still pretty high up there because there's only about 30 million people in Canadistan.
So you're about the same as we are.
We're pretty screwed.
Yeah, you'll never see the light of day. It's amazing though that people, I can understand how people just go about their lives. They don't want to be concerned with all of this stuff. It's you got to feed your kids, you got to fix this, you got to go to your job, everything else. But to just let your freedoms be taken, and it's happening in the United States, it's happening up in Canada, it's happening Mexico. They have no rights down there. If they don't bribe people, they get nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they want to turn this into a North American union. That's not a good thing either.
It seems to subvert all nation sovereignty.
Well, it does. It does. It's and that's I think exactly what they want to do. They want to get rid of all the sovereignty that countries have. There's not going to be any more sovereignty. It's just going to be, we're all one. We'll just have a big group hug and sing Kumbaya and probably have a North American anthem and a North American flag, and we can all go down the tubes like the European Union.
Yeah, North of Mexistan.
North of Mexistan. I like that. That's got a ring. We should submit that. Maybe submit that to the United Nations, and then when they, instead of having the North American Union, we can have Mexistan.
Hey, we could have a flag drawing competition.
Yeah, did you see in Chicago they had that for their city? Every year they have a contest to draw their city stickers, and they picked one out, and then they decided they can't have it because they think it has gang symbols on there. They're still giving the kid the money, but for drawing it or whatever the heck he gets, but they're not going to print it out. They're going to have it redesigned. We have the most paranoid politicians in the world, I'll tell you. If we don't like you, we'll argue with you, and then if we still don't like you, we'll bomb you. Or we'll put drones over your. Well, we'll put drones over your head, and then we'll bomb you. It's it's amazing how people will allow their freedoms to be eroded, just taken away, and especially in this country, they always think that these people are our leaders. They're not our leaders. They're our representatives. It's like when you hire a lawyer and that lawyer goes into court. Well, I don't want to get into how bad the courts are, but you don't have to go. He goes in your stead and he represents you. And that's what you've got in Washington by us, is these are elected representatives, and they represent the people. But once they get elected, they automatically think that they're kings and queens, and, well, some of them are queens. But,
well, that if you're talking about Harry Reid, yeah.
Well, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, I mean, the list is long and distinguished.
The two kind of look the same. Actually, I saw a recent photo with Nancy Pelosi side by side with Steven Tyler, and the resemblance was uncanny. It was just uncanny. I was like, is it the same person?
Well, she probably, once she loses office, she's out of office, they'll probably put on her with, America's Got Talent, or whatever they call that program. And she can be a judge on that. And I'm sitting here tonight with John Connor, and we're having an interesting discussion on all the freedoms that you're losing, that he's losing, that everybody's losing. All the money that's being spent by our governments, they make us so happy that we could be so far into debt and never be able to pay it off. And the nice thing about it is we're not the only ones. Greece just said, and this is from the Independent in the UK, it says, Greece, there's no more left to cut. And they're rioting and burning the place down, and apparently their government just approved another bailout package, and they're burning the place to the ground. So it's coming your way, people. It's just going to be a matter of when. And up in Canada, they wouldn't do something like that. You got them Royal Canadian Mounted Police up there. Be chasing you down with their horses, John.
Oh, I mean, with their reputation, was it? I'm not sure if it was the RCMP or not, but I think it was that tased some guy to death at the airport because he didn't speak English and they didn't understand him.
That sounds like our TSA.
Yeah, they did something like that. I think it was a couple of years ago out west on the West Coast.
Wow, I don't know what it is with the West Coast. It seems like everything weird happens out there. And we got the California, and they're broke. They don't have any money left, and they're doing strange things. And our TSA, they'll fondle your fudgies and assault your children and rape your wife, rape, pillage, and plunder, and say it's for your own safety. The thing that gets me, though, is I don't know if you got this up in Canada, but, the people here are going, well, I want to be safe. I'd rather be free than safe. I don't know. What's going on up in Canada with this?
Well, this is very interesting you say this because, I warn people all the time. And you tell them about the National Defense Authorization Act and how this basically makes the whole world a battlefield. And you tell them about the leaked documents about KBR and Halliburton and the FEMA camps being able to go active within 72 hours. And, you're basically info jamming them with all this information. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to look into it because it's too scary to them. You can tell by the look on their face. And you talk about, you tell them about what's going on at the airports and how they're expanding it out onto the streets and the bus stations and subways and that kind of thing. And they want to expand it out to your grocery stores and malls and that kind of thing. And we have the same thing going on here, but it hasn't gone as far. It's just at the airports now. But I get the same response. Well, I got to be safe. And I tell them, the same thing everyone tells them, that there is no, all the terrorism is false flag staged events. And they're too afraid to look into it because it's like, what does that mean when their government staged terror attacks on their own people?
If you want, we can send some advisors up there to help you guys along a little bit. Maybe accelerate all of this stuff for you so you can lose your freedoms that much faster.
Yeah.
I mean, we're willing to help our neighbors to the north. It's we'll send you drones. We'll send Chernoff up there with his radiation machines so you people can get X-rayed, and they'll connect all your video cameras together so they can watch everything that you do. I don't know if I'd want that job because I know Americans. I know how disgusting we could get. I don't know if I'd want to be watching what they're doing.
Well, it's very interesting because there was a recent mainstream media, Canadian mainstream media, the CBC, the Communist Broadcasting Company here in Canadistan. They put out a recent poll that I think it was 65% of Canadians felt that it was their right to be able to defend their home with firearms, which is very surprising to me coming from them and from Canadians because it generally is an anti-gun type of country, so that people know something's wrong.
Yeah, you don't really have. I don't know. I know in I think it was England or in Australia, one of them, you can own a gun, but you have to have it locked up at the gun shop or whatever, wherever you do. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me because somebody breaks into your house and you go, "Wait a minute, let me go down to the gun store and get my gun."
Yeah.
I don't know how it is up in Canada. It's,
here it's they've banned handguns and semi-autos, so you can have rifles and stuff, but it has to be under a lock. It'd have to be a locked up proper cabinet in your house. There's basically basically codes, and there's special regulations for carrying it as well. But it's not as bad as obviously England. I mean, you still can go get, legally go get your firearms license and go buy a gun.
Yeah, as I know here,
stricter.
I live in the most communist state in the Union, Illinois, and I know here if I'm going to go to the shooting range, everything's got to be locked in the trunk. The gun cannot be loaded, and it's got to be in the trunk. The ammunition has to be in the trunk in a bag. I mean, it's outrageous. I never listened to them, but that's just...
Well, I think they're numbering ammunition up here.
Oh, they're putting tags in the powder?
No, like on the casings or something.
Oh, jeez. They're going to run out of numbers.
I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look up into that. But there's something about serial numbers about with the ammunition up here in Canada.
Yeah, they wanted to put taggants in the gunpowder here so they could could trace everything. I don't understand the logic behind it, nor do I care. But if they continue with this, like up by you guys, you're going to run out of room on the casing of a 22, so then you have to go to 38s. Before you know it, you're going to be using 454 cost cells up there because you won't be able to get the serial number on anything smaller.
Yeah.
It's politicians are paranoid. They want to be rulers. They don't want to be just representatives. They want to rule. Like they're the king. Of course, don't you guys have a king or a queen?
Yeah, we're still under the queen, under the Commonwealth.
Oh, geez. No wonder you got problems there.
Oh, yeah.
So she could actually, on her own, if she wanted to, she could just dissolve your entire parliament and everything else. And
yeah, that happened. What was it? Was it last year or the year before, 2010? I think there was a prorogue, which is Harper asked her to dissolve Parliament, and the whole country got up and did this countrywide protest, basically, get back to work, Harper bad, and nobody seemed to know why it was prorogued or what was going on or what it even meant, because we were down there with information trying to tell them that it was a Bill C-51 and C-52. That was the whole reason it was going on, is because they couldn't get it through. So they prorogued Parliament and dissolved it and tried to ram it through as another bill. and nobody wanted to hear about it. We went down to these protests and nobody wanted to hear that. They're just like, Harper bad, and we're like, here's what's going on. They're doing this because they want to destroy your property rights. With this bill going through, they'll be able to enter your home without any warrant, search and seizure. And, there was a handful of people that knew what this was really about. But most of the ones down there were just blindly protesting with a sign. And it was...
So it's a lot like our NDAA. We gave up, they don't have to have a warrant or anything. They just kick down the door and write the warrant as they're searching your house.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. It's kind of boggles my mind that any one individual could have that much power over an entire country. Like here, 535 clowns are running the entire circus of 300 million. And the 300 million, a handful have woken up, a handful of them have decided that they're going to do something and complain about it. And other than that, it's just, let's continue on the way we're going. Everybody's happy. For the InformationNation.com on Orion Talk Radio, I told you we'd be back. And we have John Connor from Canadistan with us. And I'm down here in America. And we're having a great discussion on how little freedoms we have left. And if we don't fight for them, we're going to lose those freedoms too. So, as a matter of fact, in San Francisco, a 3-panel judge at a Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Tuesday that Proposition 8, California voter-approved ban on same-sex marriage, is unconstitutional because it violates the 14th Amendment guarantee of equal protection under the law. So they overturned basically a vote by the people, a law that the people wanted. And I don't understand. I've read the 14th Amendment I don't know how many times. Where's the equal protection? I mean, there's a big difference between equal protection and marriage. So what's the big deal on this? And can we ship it up to Canada? What do you think there, John?
I'm sure they'll do anything that has to do with gay rights. You can ship it up to Canada. They'll welcome it with open arms. But one thing I'm not sure that gays or many people realize is that marriage is basically, it's become a contract, a legal joinder between one corporate fiction and another corporate fiction. So when these gay people go and get married in front of a judge, they're just, all that they're doing is joining each other's legal fictions. And I don't even think they realize that they're just joining their slave papers. One birth certificate with another birth certificate, which represents a straw man. And that's what they're all arguing. I want the right to be to marry our two slave entities together. It's like, hey, those are slave entities. Who even cares?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't care what, you want to, whatever you do in your bedroom is your business. I could care less. And no, I am not homophobic. I'm not scared of homosexuals or lesbians. Matter of fact, I'm a lesbian. I like women.
I'm a lesbian too.
There you go. See, you got two lesbians on the radio here. But.
And we're butch, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell in our voices.
Or either that or our pants are too tight. The thing that gets me with this, and it says it violates the guarantee of equal protection. Well, equal protection would be somebody goes over there and starts to beat on this guy, and I go over there and I stop him. I'm protecting this man from physical injury. But to say that they don't have the right to get married, they have the right to get married, they just don't have the right to get married to each other. And I know the argument can go on and on and on for hours. But the thing that annoys me with this is the fact that they overturned a voter-approved ban. This went to the people, they voted on it, and they accepted it. So if courts are going to do this, what else are they going to do? What else are they going to overturn? How many other elections? Well, elections they've been overturning anyhow, or so they say. But how much else are they going to overturn? Hey, you want to pass a concealed carry law in your state. Illinois, we don't have one. Then the courts come in and say, no, you can't do that. I mean, what is the deal with these people here? Just because they wear black robes? And I'll tell you, just to let the gay community know that you think you're having a problem with you getting married, wait till you go to dissolve it. I know people that have dissolved marriages, and one gets the shaft and the other one gets the mine. So it's not all that it's cracked up to be for some people. But hey, you remember when they talked about we were going to possibly eating poo burgers?
Oh, those Japanese turd burgers.
Turd burgers, yeah. Well, now Puerto Rico proposes an iguana eradication plan, and they want to export the meat because it could bring a lot of money to a territory that's struggling. And I don't understand that. If Puerto Rico is an American territory, why are they struggling? If we got the hell out of the Middle East, we'd have a lot of money. We'd be able to help our territories provide for themselves. Although, from what it says in this article, which is in NBCMiami.com, iguana meat sells for as much as $6 a pound. That's a lot more than chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do for a living? I'm an iguana rancher. Because once they eradicate them, then they're going to have to be able to ranch them, and I don't know how fast they grow. And they're not as big as cows, so it's just one more thing in the...
I just saw this update over from the Intel Hub about that Greece. No, it wasn't Greece. It was Brussels. Apparently, the firefighters aren't happy with their new retirement package. So austerity. And they took a fire hose to the cops outside the Prime Minister's office. So there's a instance of the people fighting back.
That's interesting. That's funny, really. It's really funny when you think about it. Now you got the cops and the firefighters going at each other. The firefighters ought to do is go up to the cops and say, wait till you see your new retirement plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they'll just pass the fire hose over to the cops.
Or the cops will be passing the guns over to the firefighters.
Yeah, and they'll grab the fire hose, and then they'll have the cops and the firefighters waiting outside the Prime Minister's office.
Right outside. You can either have water. You can either have water on the inside or bullet holes. What do you want? And this is what I mean. People are fed up. They've had enough of this stuff. They've had enough of being run by a whole bunch of little idiots. They've got theirs, and the hell with you. That's interesting, though. I've been waiting for something like that to happen, for something to blow up more than just burning your neighborhood down to the ground. That drives me crazy. You know, let me see. I don't like what they did, so I'm going to burn my house down.
Yeah, how does that affect the elite? Like, it's like all those anarchists that go to these protests and they start burning storefronts and stuff, and it's like, what did that person do? They're getting screwed just like everyone else.
Yeah, you burn down
their storefront. Now they're really screwed.
Yeah, you burn down the guy that's trying to make a living, and he's got one little storefront, but we'll burn him to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
No, it would have been a heck of a lot different if they had been throwing those fire bombs at Wall Street. Did you see?
Most of them are all provocateurs that sent in there.
Well, sure they are. You know, the people. You know, we were born at night, but we weren't born last night. Maybe the night before. But you see the picture when they had Occupy Wall Street on there. It was funny because they're out there marching down the street, and you got all these Wall Street people standing up on the top, and they're toasting them with champagne and smiling. Wall Street's not the problem. Wall Street is not the problem. The banks are the problem. The politicians are the problems. You have to, if you trace the whole thing back, I mean, you got Fannie and Freddie going on here. They gave the money to the bankers. They gave the money to the unions. They gave the money to the auto industry. This guy is taking over every darn thing that he can, and I'm talking about Obama, and leaving nothing left for the people. And then they turn around and they put these anarchists in there, and they just direct the people in the wrong direction.
Well, I mean, under Obama, more money was stolen than every other president in history combined. But you're a racist if you point that out.
Yes, I am, and we will get into racism when we get back from the break. Hey, this is Ken for the Information Nation on Orion Talk Radio, OrionTalkRadio.com, theinformationnation.com. We're glad you all stuck around for the last half hour. That was just the bottom of the hour break. And we're discussing a little bit about racism here. And Samuel L. Jackson, I voted for Obama because he's black. Barack Obama's politics meant nothing to Samuel L. Jackson because the Pulp Fiction star only voted for the president for one reason and one reason only, because he's black. And that's out on the TMZ.com. You can find it there. You find that surprising at all there, John?
No, it doesn't surprise me much. And a lot of my white friends, they say, they're big Obama supporters because he's black. And I say, well, that's racist. And they say, why? I'm like, well, what do you know about his policies? And they don't seem to know anything. They like him because he's black and he seems cool and hip. And they seem unconcerned about his track record or who's backing the guy. And I tell them, they're like, you just don't like him because he's racist. I said, no, I looked into him. You blindly follow him because it's reverse racism.
Yeah, I kind of find it interesting with people, if you don't agree with the man, you're a racist. If you do agree with the man, you're a racist. So you can't win, you're a racist. So I've been asking somebody to send me the shirt that says I'm a racist because I don't agree with Barack Obama, so I could proudly wear it around the neighborhood and when I go out shopping and everything. But it amazes me that people get sucked in by this so easily, and they don't see it. And especially you guys up there in Canada, at least you'd see how screwed up this country is getting. Going, Mike, for crying out loud, why'd they vote for this guy? Because we have a lot of Obama supporters here that are having what do you call that? Post-voting stress disorder, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because a lot of my black friends we have quite a big Jamaican community here in Toronto, and a lot of them were warning me about Obama before, he was ever elected, to look into him and say, hey, this guy's bad news. And I look into it, and of course it's bad news. I was not deceived by Obama. And we were posting the Obama deception the day it came out. We were just plastering it everywhere.
So that just goes to show the American people that people down in Jamaica are more intelligent than you are because they knew what this guy was.
No, those Jamaicans were just racist.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, they didn't like Obama.
And as long as we're on the topic of Obama, recently we had the Supreme Court ruling that You know, they're going to let Obama on the Georgia primary or on the election ballot. But the interesting thing is now there is a Supreme Court ruling, and it's Minor versus Happersett. And according to that ruling, it states a natural-born citizen was defined as children born to two U.S. citizens, regardless of the location of birth. It found the Constitution does not, in words, say who shall be natural-born citizens. Resort must be elsewhere to ascertain that. At common law with, well, the heck with the rest of the stuff, it's too long. But by that standard, and I want people to listen very closely here, Mitt Romney is not eligible to be president of the United States. His father is from Mexico. And Rubio from Florida, Senator Marco Rubio, is not eligible. I didn't say qualified. I said eligible to be the vice president or the president because his parents came from Cuba. Now, John, how many people do you think care about that?
Well, I think, unfortunately, most people are more concerned right now with Whitney Houston because she died. And, you know, I'm having a hard time keeping a straight head about things because of it.
Well,
and that's the state we're in. I mean, even in Canadistan, everyone's, you know, all our rights and freedoms are gone, and they're all twittering and texting about Whitney Houston and how tragic it was. And are you going to turn into the Oprah show on Thursday?
Yeah, there's a good one for you, Oprah.
I don't know what to make of that. I heard of this Church of Oprah thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw some YouTube videos and I got freaked out. I'm like, this is even worse than the mindless mind control that I knew she had over the people of her audience. It really started to scare me.
Oh, from what they said about Oprah and when she had her show, because I guess the show is no longer on, but with her book club, if you could write the biggest piece of garbage out there, but if Oprah said, buy this book, all of a sudden you're on a bestseller list. So she has a lot of power over the people. That's for sure. It's oh, maybe she could go resurrect Whitney Houston. You know,
they should have brought Houston out at the halftime show with Madonna.
Oh yeah, that would have been something. That halftime show was really something else. I didn't bother to watch it. I watched it on YouTube after people started complaining about it, and I'd never seen anything like that. I mean, just right in your face, New World Order with the satanic symbols, Bretton Woods, the whole 9 yards there, and people getting flipped off by one of the performers. Yeah. I got to flip off for her. We just won't pay her.
Yeah.
That's I don't know what it is with the NFL. They like this kind of controversy and stuff. After the little flip off, I would laugh my butt off if the FCC fined them about $5 million for letting that air. Like they did with the wardrobe malfunction they had a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's just be glad that Big Sis didn't show up there and have one of them. Everyone would have been throwing up everywhere. It would have been a scene.
It would have been obscene.
Obscene, yeah. I think camera lenses would have broke.
Players wouldn't have been able to complete the game. Why? Because Big Sis had a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, and they were all blind. You had a bunch of blind guys running around bumping into each other.
Oh, could we get any more perverted on this show? Give us a chance. I'm pretty sure we can.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. They will definitely, Canadians will definitely do the same thing. I mean, if they implemented the same security measures at the hockey games,
yeah,
in Canada, they would still sell out all the hockey games, and they would line up to be, fondled or groped. And I hope they don't do it, but they may start doing that here too in case Al Qaeda strikes at the Maple Leaf game.
Yeah. Oh, I could understand that.
Well, we're not so crazy about the football because nobody watches our football. So we're not so crazy about it. But people watch hockey, and we're pretty good at hockey. So that Canadians are absolutely nuts over hockey. And if they implemented the grope downs and the checks at the hockey games, people would still sell out. They'd buy out all the tickets, and it's a shame. So, I mean, we're not any better.
Well, you got a lot of people there that, that's their thing. They buy a hockey ticket, not so much to go to the game, but to get the little fondling.
Oh, yeah.
We got people in this country, they don't go for the airplane. They just keep walking around, and this is your sixth time through. Yeah, I know, but I'm having fun.
Yeah, and you find out that it's a TSA agent from another airport. And time off, he goes to the other airport to go get fondled.
Yeah, it's one of the company perks.
Yeah.
You get a car, you get you get your lunch paid for, you get a free grope twice a day. We've become a perverted society, no matter what they say. And as far as perverted societies go, Washington footing cell phone bills for millions of low-income Americans. Last year, the federal program paid out $1.6 billion to cover the free cell phones and monthly bills of 12.5 million wireless accounts. I didn't get any of that money. Why didn't I get any of that money? Anybody out there get any of that money? Jeez. How many more people are we going to pay for? And we're back. The last part, the last little bit of this show, and then it's going to be gone for another week. Of course, then again, we have WTF tomorrow night, Monday nights. Everybody tune into that. I'm sure that's going to get a little crazy. But this is your host, Ken, for the Information Nation. Orion Talk Radio, OrionTalkRadio.com, TheInformationNation.com, JohnConnor1984.com. I think it's .com, isn't it, John?
It's .wordpress.com.
.wordpress.com. What was the other one we had talked about?
CanadaLive.yolasite.com.
Okay, and you got a lot of info. I was watching one of the videos on your John Connor 1984 site today. It was very informative. You always have some good stuff tagged up on there on that WordPress site.
Yeah, I encourage other folks to start a blog or website and, tag it up. And sometimes you post an article or you repost an article from somewhere else and it goes viral. Sometimes it doesn't. But one of the most effective ways is info jamming, which is basically sharing your link around different places to an article you post. So you post an article, you share it to Facebook. Maybe you go a few places around Facebook and post it on their pages. And then maybe you go over to Twitter or you go over to, I like to go over to the mainstream news and go to their websites, and I'll sign up for their email or whatever, however you sign up. And then I'll leave comments on their mainstream propaganda with a link to my story or somebody else's story. And with the blog, I can monitor the stats and the hits I'm getting. And I can, it's quite effective. Info jamming or spamming your links to your articles can gain you 10 to 20 times the hits that you'd normally get just, posting an article and leaving it. So it is effective. And it also let me know how much YouTube is censoring views on YouTube. Sometimes I'll put a post up that gets 500 hits or 1,000 hits, and it's got 100 shares. And the video that's in the post, it's like a video post article basically, has like 30 hits on it according to YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on. So YouTube's blatantly censoring people's videos.
I think YouTube is playing games with their numbers, because I know I've put videos up there and gotten very few hits. And then all of a sudden, Alex Jones was complaining about it. He says, I only got, 70 hits on this. And he made a big deal out of it. I guess he called them and they told him, well, that's all you're getting. And then they found out their counter was off, so they say. But I think they're steering a lot of the content that's out there, because I've noticed a lot of people that I subscribe to, their amount of hits has dropped dramatically. If I find something good, because it's like you say, you want to get the information out there. I've got my website, I've got my blog, I've got my Twitter account, I've got my YouTube channel, and if I find something interesting, my blog is basically for content other than what I've generated. So if I find an article, let's say on your website, or if I find something on YouTube, I normally shoot it up to my blog so people can get their hands on that and get the information. And that's the more information we put out there, the better off we are before they shut us down.
Yeah, and that's what I say about folks that, if they're not making videos, maybe they're not sure how to make videos, or they're not ready to do that kind of stuff. I mean, you could copy a link from any information that you feel is pertinent, and you can run around the mainstream media websites. You can call into mainstream radio and try to get some info out that way. And I mean, this is just the first phase of trying to awaken the sleeping mass and get them to give their head a shake. But I mean, obviously, there's other actions we need to take other than just going after the mainstream media. I mean, taking action on the local level is definitely important. So there's so many different, aspects to this information war we're in.
Yeah, the people tend to forget, it's quite easy to, even down at the bottom where it says share. One thing you want to do when you watch a video, if you like it, hit the like button. Mm-hmm. It jacks up their counts. And take it and share it. Share it with your friends on Facebook. Share it if you have a blog. Share it to your blog. It's quite simple to do. It takes you no time at all. You click on a button, you click on it again, boom, it's up there. And that's the only way we get, if you can't be out there, like John said, making videos, putting out flyers, doing talk radio, doing podcasts, at least you're doing something. What does it cost you? It doesn't cost you anything. You can get a Blogger account. You can get a WordPress account. It costs you nothing. All it costs you, it takes a little time to put it all together. But at least you'll be doing something. What do you think, John?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, any way that anyone can think of to get information out there, to me, is great. I mean, I've always been a car parking lot flyer guy. That's my favorite, to go find a big, huge parking lot and, put vaccine ingredient lists on every windshield, because that really messes up their plan to vaccinate people.
So you're the guy that's getting all that paper stuck to my windshield. I knew there was somebody out there, and you admitted it. But, yeah, it doesn't take a lot to get involved. You don't have to be out there down on Occupy Wall Street or, occupy your computer. Take your computer, get yourself a little blog or something, and put the information out there. And the nice thing is, it doesn't cost you anything. The powers that be are actually going to help you bring them down. So use it. Because if you don't, one day you won't have it. It's the old saying, use it or lose it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. I mean, this, pasting links on places, it's not like you're running around like anonymous hacking places. You're just going to a website and leaving a comment.
Yeah.
And you just put a link in there. You put a headline and a link to whatever story or whatever video. And you'd be surprised how many hits you get off the mainstream news websites. That's what generates most of the hits on my blog, is info jamming my blog.
All right, so you're going to a news site, you're commenting on an article that they have posted.
Yeah.
And then you pop the link in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you may get 5 or 10 hits back from that link, and then you jump over to another news website, or you run around the different Facebook pages or Twitter or anything anyone can think of. It's basically it. If somebody can think of a new way or another tactic, that's great, and share it with everyone.
Yeah. This is what it's about, the sharing of information. And I know a lot of people out there say, well, what can I do? We just gave you a whole bunch of stuff you can do. And it's all free. And even, it's not like Obamacare, which they say is free, but you're going to pay for that without knowing it. This is free, actual free. If you got the computer and you've got a little bit of time, it's going to cost you a little bit of time. And you can have a hell of an effect on a lot of people. You can help save the republic. Yeah, this is not a democracy. This is a republic, and I'll get into that at some later date. But it's been a heck of a ride tonight with John. We've had a good time. And I want to thank John Connor for coming on the show tonight and enlightening us about Kanadistan.
Yeah, it was fun to come on the show tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to turn Kanadistan back into Canada.
Well, let's...
With any luck.
Well, we're hoping to turn America back into America, the Republic of the United States of America. No more United States of America. And I want to thank all the listeners who tuned in. It's great to have you there. The people in the chat room, as always, you seem to be having a good time tonight. Just remember, people, it doesn't take much you don't have to spend a fortune. If you got a computer and you're on the internet, which you most likely are, hey, go to WordPress. The sites, it takes you a little bit to set one up, but once you get used to it, it's very, very quick and easy. Go to Blogger. Once you set the site up, it's very, very quick and easy. Take their tools and use it against them. Go ahead, John. You were going to say.
I heard Reddit is a hotbed right now, and I haven't had a chance to go set one up over there, so I may have to check that out too.
Reddit. I'd never even heard of that one.
Yeah, I've heard of a few activists telling me go over to Reddit and start posting there, and so I'll have to sign up, check it out, see if it gains any hits and on our posts and videos.
Yeah, somebody said that. Well, somebody said it, but we're just done. We're out of time.